Welcome to the blueprint for the modern man. This is Rooted Kings.
Hey guys, welcome to Rooted Kings. I'm Marcus Odom.
And I'm Dr. Kevin Lambert.
Hey, and fellas, another great episode. And this time it's for you, the guys. Father's Day is coming up.
Happy Father's Day.
That's right, fellas. You guys did it. You made it another year. And I'm sure you guys are getting all those great socks and whatever
ties.
and ties, right? and you might get a cigar too. So if you do, man, make sure you guys send me one.
Yeah.
All right. So Kevin, man, how you been? It's been a
good.
minute.
Been good, man. Been good, man. I'm glad to get back in here, man. Glad to connect with our audience and a great occasion, man, to talk about. I mean, we are Rooted Kings.
Yes, sir.
And to talk to the Kings and to celebrate the Kings on Juneteenth.
Yeah.
On Juneteenth.
On Juneteenth. It's Juneteenth
Yes, sir.
today, man.
Yeah.
Why are we working? We working
Right.
on Juneteenth?
Hey,
I don't know. This doesn't feel like work to
the
me.
occasion.
but-
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think, particularly just, the combination of what is happening, historically, and to be able to take the time to say, we appreciate you, King. And we appreciate you trying to lead your family, trying to do better, just trying to evolve and really lead your families, lead your nephews, Ray Ray and them, all of that,
Not Ray Ray. Man, Ray Ray still owe me money. So, hey, Ray Ray, if you're out there, man, we need to talk after this.
Right.
But what else has been going on with you since this time? It's been a minute since we've been on the air. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's just, obviously just trying to lead my practice and trying to lead my family and take care of, all of the different things going on. And so just trying to help families get better and help my family continue to hopefully thrive and be at their best, if you will.
Man, you're talking about a king, man. The king's job is never done, right?
Never done. Never
right.
done.
24/7, 365, right? That's how we do it.
Yeah,
That's
ongoing. But, it's, I always tell myself I get to do this. I get to, have an impact on my kids, on my wife, on my mentor or mentees, my associates that work for me. I have the privilege of being able to be an influencer and being able to have an impact on people. And I take pride in that because I know that not everybody gets to do that. My kids are amazing. And so they make me look good, so sometimes I sit back and I be like, okay, I tell my wife, I'm like, man, we did all right. We did all right. We raised some decent humans, so. I always think of it as, yes, there's work. There's a lot of sometimes long suffering. Sometimes we are representing, thinking psychodynamic Freudian. We are kind of, in some ways, representing fathers to our brides.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And whatever they did or did not do, and we're now dealing with that, and just the opportunity to be able to have the impact and to be able to, what we say in therapy, a corrective emotional experience, to be able to provide an experience that actually causes a shift in someone, so that they approach relationships and approach the world in a better way. So,
man, that's deep. That's why they pay you the big bucks, right? Man, that's why they pay you the big bucks, because he knows how to break it down, man. From a psychoanalytical standpoint, I just can't believe I said that word. Don't try to get me to say that again, because I will mess it up. But before we continue on, I got to ask you a question.
All right.
Yesterday, President Obama actually just had a celebration.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. And they were actually just showcasing, his presidential library.
Yeah.
And something stood out during that whole time.
Michelle,
you guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah, Michelle, she, man, like, I think I might have welled up a little bit. I don't know if it was just like, some dust in the room.
Hey, you're in the safe space, brother. You're in the safe space.
I might have just had a little something in my eye.
Right.
I was like, man, like, I think that's what we all want to be affirmed and recognized. And I mean, she laid it out like, you know, she's like, man, you the man. That's basically how I took that, was like, you the man. I mean, obviously I have tremendous respect for both of them, the Obamas in general, but obviously just the role model, the poise, the leadership, the as she said, moral character and moral fiber. You know, he's 101. You know what I mean? But I think that there's a lot of us men out here trying to represent and trying to demonstrate that same kind of like high caliber character, you know, and it goes unspoken to and unappreciated sometimes.
Sometimes it does.
You know, I mean, we just talking before we started, like just in terms of the comparison of Father's Day versus Mother's Day.
Oh man.
You know, it's like, all right, pops, you know, appreciate you, dog. Like, and,
it's like a little high five. They shoot sit down. Hey, happy Father's Day.
Right.
All right. I'm about to go hit up with Ray and them. Ray, you still owe me my money, bro.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, Mother's Day, it's like a weekend, and it's a whole thing, you know, which, you know, no shade against the moms out there. We much appreciate y'all.
We love
definitely.
Y'all. That's right.
But we talking about the pops right now. We talking about the pappy. You know what I mean? And really, you know, leadership, especially in our community, Black and Brown communities, that presence and that impact is huge in regards to the trajectory of the emotional well-being of our people. And the cohesiveness of the family unit, right? So even if mom and dad don't work out, like just in terms of how, you know, the relationships are managed in regards to like his continued presence, and even just support of the job that of parenting and taking care of things, like, you know, if my wife and I weren't together, I still want her to be well, because I need her to be well for my kids to be well. I need her to be well because we still had a journey together, and despite whatever might have caused us to not be together, we shared something special, and we actually produced something special talking about these kids. And so wanting to make sure, like, I need you to be good. And I need us to be cool, don't want no trouble,
don't want static,
so that we can continue to, you know, do what we can to raise these kids up to be great human beings to impact the world.
So if you know, let's talk about the kids for a second. We talk about, like, you know, raising the kids when they were younger, kind of more that authoritative, and now, you know, as our kids both are starting to get older, you're starting to become more of like an architect.
Yeah.
So how does it? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit, like that more of a hands-on, and kind of going into more hands-off?
You know, I think the challenge is to try to for you young dads to come into it thinking like an architect from the beginning. Now, it's almost like you got to be more hands-on as you build the foundations, and you have to be very meticulous about what is it that we're doing to shape behavior, right? But there's also opportunities to impact them emotionally and psychologically by your presence and by your you know, guidance in terms of just teaching them little lessons, right? But more is caught than taught. So you can, you know, a lot of the stuff that you're doing early on is trying to create this foundation of, no, don't do this, don't do this, and you're kind of giving them instructions, and you're checking them, and you're disciplining them. As they get older, it's important that they understand it for themselves, and that they are making those decisions according to the guidance and wisdom that not just you have provided, but the community that you've also provided for them, if you will, right? So the village, right? Yeah, but I mean, I think that, you know, a lot of that is due to your architectural design of providing by seeing things ahead of time and going, okay, at this stage, you need this. At this stage, you need this. And I need to be kind of seeing you along the way. And the older you get, the more I got to kind of like this. It's time for you to take over. It's time for you to take the lead a little more.
And it's funny you say that, because the analogy I always think of when I talk to them kids is like driving a car, right? And as you're driving a car on let's call it a windy road, because there's no path that's ever straight.
Right.
But as you're driving on that windy road, and let's just say a turn may have a cliff.
Yeah.
And one of the things is I'll let you go ahead and drive. But when I see a turn that has a cliff, I'm going to be that warning sign like, hey, you could go off this cliff, bruh. And sometimes when you go over that cliff, you may not be able to recover. You may not come back.
Right.
And I started to see as I gotten older, as they gotten older, I kind of, like you said, kind of pull back a little bit, let them drive, let them take control.
Right.
But when we see something coming up and it's like, hey, you might get to a place where there's a point of no return, we jump in and we say, hey, pump the brakes, right? Slow your roll, right? Make that turn clean so you could go on the rest of your journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, we don't want to have to be as hands-on or as controlling as they get older, because we need them to have, like, I need you to demonstrate to me that you get it. Right. And sometimes, just all of us in our youth, sometimes it's like, we just want to do what we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it's like, oh, you old, you don't get it, Pops. Like,
no, we get it. It's like, we get it.
like, no, y'all
don't think you get it. We get it.
Yeah.
Y'all don't get it.
Yeah. So it's like, I wasn't born yesterday, but, but, at the same time, I have a good idea of what's going on right now. And so, but I mean, sometimes you have to learn from experience.
Right.
You have to learn through, and I think that also requires some patience and wisdom of being able to go, all right, you got to bump your head. I got to let you suffer that that natural consequence, and I don't want that for you, which is why I'm fussing at you. But maybe that's just the way you need to learn,
But I think also, like, let's keep it a buck as well. As they get older, we get older. When they were younger, we had a lot more energy, so we could run behind them. We could do all of those things. But as you started to get older, I mean, you're gonna be like, y'all just go ahead, right?
Yeah.
You go ahead, and you're just gonna watch them from a distance. You're kind of like doing one of these, and just kind of, because it's about energy and effort. It's like you're starting to get, part of your wisdom is you're conserving, say, energy and those efforts for the time when you actually need to really use it.
Yeah.
You correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, I think if you think about, like, those of y'all that have, like, I don't have any pets now, but I had, dogs when I was younger. And when you're trying to train them, it's a lot harder to teach a dog that has matured and is a couple years later, right? But in terms of the dog's respect for you and the dog's reaction to you, that is taught when they were young, right? When they're a puppy, you teach them to respond to your voice. You teach them that when you say stop, that means stop for real. And that, like, fear as in respect is something that you have to earn early, and you have to train them early on that. So that's where, I'm going to be disciplining my kid or whatever. A lot of times we see people, like, trying to discipline a 16, 17-year-old now. I'm not saying it's not necessary, because actually sometimes we start feeling ourselves and, people get smart mouth or whatever. But at that point, if I haven't established that respect early, it's going to be a lot tougher battle. And,
tougher who?
Tougher for them, depending on, what I'm saying. But I also see sometimes when you're dealing with them, it can be stressful for you.
Right.
Because you're worried about what they're going to get into because they're not listening and they're not getting it. Right. But at the same time, but I would say, majority of times it's going to be tougher on them because you're going to be in there behind. Right. But
So, and I was saying that because the thing is, sometimes the young kids don't understand grown man strength.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. I'm gonna tell y'all, hey, I'm looking at y'all young ones that's checking this out.
Yeah.
Grown man strength is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what grown man strength was behind it. It's called years of maturity, wisdom, pain, suffering. It just sits there.
Yeah.
When the moment presents itself.
And you know where I realized that, like when I was in college, I was, I'm the firstborn. Mm-hmm. I know you are too.
Firstborns, yeah.
I went off to college, came home during the break, and realized that my brother had shot up, and we were like eye to eye for the first time in our whole lives, right? People knew us apart because he was the short one and I was the taller one, right? And he shot up and I was like, yo, what just happened? And then I just realized, you know what though? But I still love you because mentally, like, it was like, yo, man, I got something you ain't got.
Right.
I understand some things you don't understand. Like, you just came into this. I already know,
Well, the other thing too is like, we playing two different games right now because the thing is like when you, like, especially with the younger brothers and like you said, that mental thing, you got to go right at them.
Right.
They're trying to figure out, will he really do this? It's too late. Right. It's too late.
Right.
If I got you in a headlock, it's too late.
Right.
You don't know if I'm about to do it. I know I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be painful. I'm going to make sure you remember this.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I really don't want to do this again. This might be all I got.
Yeah.
It a buck.
Yeah.
They ain't going to know that.
Exactly. Well, and the other part of it too, because like my my dad, I get my height from my mom's side of the family. So my dad is shorter. So, but there's a level of respect that was established early on.
Right.
There is a level of desire to please him and not have him be upset or disappointed in me. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the reality of I got to go to sleep sometime.
Yeah. Oh, they gonna want that. They want to get. They're gonna get theirs.
If
right?
you ever
had, right?
If you ever had them put hands on you in your slumber, when you wake up to getting
right.
That it's like
that's the worst. That's the worst. I'm gonna tell y'all, man. Hey, a leather belt get you out of your sleep, especially when you're in that good sleep. Man, is the worst feeling in the world. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
You don't want that. You don't want that smoke.
Come
it's
on,
like,
man,
I gotta go to sleep sometime, and I gotta sleep with one eye open because I crossed my pops or or my mom for that matter, right? So that respect was established early, and you understand, like, okay, we might have some words, but I know just how far to go before I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
we cool though. We cool.
So speaking of your pops, one of the things when you're talking about like Father's Day and you being a father and kind of how you carry yourself, you kind of learn how to be a dad and father, generally from your father if your father's present.
Yeah.
You kind of share some of those stories, like what are some of the things that you remember that your dad may have kind of shared down to you, be it he did it knowingly or unknowingly, that you still think about or you value to today?
I think that, some fathers like are so focused on disciplining their kids that they forget to like come alongside of them and build that rapport and that emotional connection. I always felt like even though my pops was like, he did get on us a lot of times. We got whoopings, we got, grounded, discipline, all of the things that you would expect in most Black families. But I think that he did a really good job of like befriending us, and I would go play hoops with my dad. We would sit around listen to music, and I always, even my friends, even to this day, like my friends hang out with my dad. Like,
man,
he's like,
come on. Hey, we just went golfing.
Playing golf.
Man, come on now. Hey, like, let me tell you, and not to interrupt, but let me tell you about
I be getting real
so
FOMO,
cool.
like, hey, pops,
like, your dad's so cool. So check this out, man. So every time we go and visit, the first thing he'd be like, "Hey, Mark, I got something for you," and he comes up with some cognac.
Yeah.
And it's usually not anything local in the U.S. It's
Yeah.
something that he got imported. He's like, and he'll sit back and just kind of watch my reaction. And it's some of the best cognac you ever had, and he knows it.
Yeah.
But he just wants to sit back and get that
Right.
reaction.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. He enjoys stuff
Yeah.
like that. I mean, I would say that, and just, being able to, just pick those spots, because now I always trust the heart, even when, let's say something was done not tactfully, or something irritated me or whatever. I always trust the heart that it's coming from. Right. So I always know, like, he means he means well. He doesn't mean any harm. Like, even if harm was done, or even if something was disappointing or whatever, I know his heart. I know, because he's consistently shown that over time. And so I try to do the same for my kids. I just like, hey, your pops is not perfect, but, I hope you see this consistent energy that I have for you, and the way in which I wear myself out trying to make sure you're good, and that you feel supported, and that I'm being thoughtful of you, and all of that sort of stuff. So, and then of course I got girls. So, a lot of how I look at how I approach being a girl dad is because I have a younger brother, and I have a baby sister. And the relationship that my dad and my sister have is special. And so just being able to kind of look at that and watch that as I was growing up was like, okay, so that's
kind of like,
what I mean? It gives me a roadmap. And my relationship with my girls is a little different. Obviously, the details are different personalities, etc. But, there's still like that bond of, the way I'm playful with my girls, the way in which we have conversations, and sometimes even, the space that I create for them to even express, their truth with me, while at the same time be like, all right now.
Hold on. That's a little too much truth. You're giving me a little too much truth now.
Hold on now.
What are we doing with this?
But there's I would, say, I mean, especially my oldest, who was literally my sister's mini-me, like, is truly a through and through daddy's girl. You know what I mean? And so, and I think that I was able to have that relationship with her because of the modeling of what I saw in my dad and other role models that I admired growing up. So, yeah.
Yeah. I got, there's many stories I would have on my end, but one of the things that I actually appreciated was, so my father actually was a scout leader. Yeah. And I know it was like, people like scout leader, this and that. It carries on a different connotation now. Yeah. But he actually had a scout literally where I grew up, like kind of in the hood. But there were still guys that were Boy Scouts. And what he used to do, like, he took those experiences, work with the Boy Scouts, and it really carried over to us. Like, he used to love going to go camping. And I am, believe it or not, even though I grew up in Florida, you think of beaches, I actually really like going into the woods. I love to go camping. So, and I'm not sure if he knows that today. I love going camping and just going out and kind of disconnecting from the world for a minute, being around nature and just kind of taking it all in as is. So, like, going through things like being able to pitch tents, being able to, use, like, you have the food, the canned food and everything like that. And, you catch, you eat what you catch type stuff when you go fishing. Like, all of those things I really, really appreciated. And even though I didn't get a chance to do too much of that with my boys, we're a little bit more city slicker-ish, right? But
more bougie. That's what you're saying. That's what you're trying to say.
I mean, I don't know about that. Like, I'm just saying. But all jokes aside, it allowed me to open up when it came to them growing up, start playing sports. Dad gets a little bit more involved in coaching because it's like having those hands-on experiences, and those experiences that I had with him growing up, like, I really loved and enjoyed. And I was like, man, I really want to be able to capture that with my boys as well.
Yeah.
And then when they got a little bit older, like, I was like, guys, hey, you got to go with these other coaches because I can't be coach and dad at the same time.
You know, it's funny because actually I had some similar experiences with my pops in regards to both camping. He coached a lot of my teams for basketball, soccer, stuff like that, and those are some great memories.
Yeah.
Some great memories of being able to do that with him and get excited about it and feel like he was having a hand in not only the development of me but my friends as well. And I have tried to do the same with my girls in regards to just encouraging them to get involved in sports and trying to make it to every game and trying to, practice with them and work on their, game with them. And I mean, it's been like, I think really huge in regards to us kind of bonding around that stuff. And it's kind of been our thing, like separate from what they do with their mom. Right. And so I think that's, it's special, man. It's like something, and for me, like, especially as far as sports goes, it was always about like trying to teach them character. Right. And so, kind of circling back to Obama, like, how do we pass on to our kids, the character that we're trying to demonstrate in front of them, and how can we create scenarios, especially, we pretty well accomplished men, so they're not like pulling it out the mud anymore, right? They're not in the jungle of the hood, if you will, but they're in a different type of jungle. They're in a different type of setting where they're dealing with racism and dealing with all kinds of, whether colorism or whatever the different things that they might be facing, right? And figuring out, how do I navigate being a part of a team and the politics of it all? And, and so, but that's stuff that they're going to be dealing with in the real world, right? So simulating that and then teaching them how to be a person of character in the midst of that adversity is priceless. It's priceless, you know. And then trying to manage my own emotions about it. It's a challenge, but it's something I welcome so that we can have those conversations and they can hear how their mom and I are thinking about it.
And it's funny, as you're saying, that's about, especially like sports, I coaching the boys, like I always tell them at the end of the season, I have all the kids around and we talk about, like, we close things out. And I was like, kids, football is really like a metaphor of life. And then I see the parents, they kind of like doing like this, and the kids is like, metaphor? What is that? So, but jokes aside, but that's really what it is. Like you said, like when you're playing these sports, when you're training and all, you're preparing for those challenges that you're going to have in life down the road. And it's giving you kind of the tools to help overcome those challenges. That's why usually people, when they look at jobs and you put on your application, like, hey, I was a student athlete. That's why they like student athletes, because they have a tendency to overcome said challenges. They kind of go after things and even if they sit with something in front of them and they're like, hey, I don't say everybody can't, but it's like they've been there, been able to balance being a student, being an athlete, having challenges in front of them and being able to overcome them. So it's cool.
No, I mean, I think it's, kind of the goal of being able to, as fathers and as leaders in our communities, as rooted kings, like, we are trying to demonstrate the value of, Black excellence, demonstrate the value of, being a man of character, being a man of, like, that is refined and evolved and thoughtful and intentional about how he's impacting his community and making meaning. And you know what I mean? And so, that's, such a privilege, man. It's so cool to do that and get some wins in regards to feeling like you're having some success with that. And so, that's why, it got a little dusty when Michelle was giving, I was like, like, he's one of the GOATs when it comes to that. And so it's like, oh, but if, like, I'm sure a lot of people revere him But when it comes from your girl who's been in the trenches with you and
Man, you
had to
can't
suffer
ask
the
for
consequences,
anything else in this world. Come on now.
you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and I work with couples day in, day out all the time. And, a lot of times I have to teach the wives, like, man, like, if you would just take that thing that you're concerned about or frustrated with him about and find a way to turn that into a positive statement. Like, remember that time that you used to do this? I wish you would do this more. Versus, you don't do this anymore. You don't, because you don't care. And it's like, if you could just turn that into a positive, affirming statement,
right?
I promise you, he'll take to it and be like, so you're saying I have a chance? If I do this.
Right. No, because let's keep it in reality. When you do, like, guys, guys I would say it's simple.
Yeah.
Right. So when you get like kind of like positive affirmations or anything back from your woman,
yeah,
man, it just feel like I could go run through a wall.
Yeah.
Give me a wall. Like as a football player, you like, coach, man, coach say run through the wall, we gonna run through the wall.
Right.
When the wife is like, she gives you that affirmation, she's like, coach, man, it's like, hey, we ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
we ready to go. It's just that simple.
It is. I mean, we would get much more mileage and much more gain a lot more if we could just be mindful of the negativity in our lives, negativity in our thoughts, and negativity in especially what we say and express.
Right.
Whether it be criticism, whether it be complaining, whether it be commiserating, whether it be like, just anything that is along those lines of like negative thought processes and thinking or whatever. If we could just cut that down, you'd be surprised how possibilities would just become very abundant, and we would be able to consider more possibilities and be more innovative if we would just stop being negative.
It's funny you say that, because one of the things, I do a lot of reading now. I don't know, it's because I'm getting old, but I felt like a lot of things in life, it really comes down to your perception and how you handle it. Because an event can take place and you can actually have a positive outcome from the event, or at least your perception is positive, or it could be negative. But it really is how you take it and run with it. So
100%.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you could be negative and I could flip your negative statement and turn it into a positive one myself. But, the brain is wired to, it's almost like the negative statements have more weight.
You think it's like a defense mechanism?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So my survival is based upon my ability to avoid negative consequence.
Right.
So negative stuff is going to be more alarming and it's going to be more pronounced. So anytime I hear something that's negative, that's a threat to me, I'm going to give it more attention, unfortunately. But being able to flip that into a positive. So like, full circle, like in regards to like, celebrating fathers, honoring men who are trying to do the right thing, trying to show up for their families, trying to, go into the workplace and have a positive impact. Those men need to be affirmed. They should be affirmed, right? But a lot of times they may not receive those affirming statements, because it's like, as long as you're not doing anything wrong,
right,
you might have less negative statements, but you don't have anything to the positive. And so being able to, as men who are aiming for better, right, to be able to take even the negative and flip it.
Right.
Like, okay, so this is your criticism of blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's because of what's going on with you. I can have compassion for what's going on with you and where that comment is coming from. So I'm going to put it in the proper context, that this is your opinion and this is how you feel. And I can respect that and I appreciate that. But I get the privilege of being able to do something with it. I get the privilege of at least now I know.
Correct. Now
you know what I mean?
Have something to work with, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And so I don't have to agree. I don't have to even allow that criticism or complaint to tear me down, I could just be like, okay, well, there's a good chance that what you're saying has a lot more to do with you than it has to do with me. But be that as it may, I get to take that feedback and do something with it to improve and get better and right and change the experience of how people are experiencing me. But even if I'm not successful with that, you know, there's a good chance that I don't really own all that. You're just telling me about where you're at,
Right.
if you will. And so I can choose to care about that or not, but which also provides an opportunity for me to show who I am as well.
Correct.
So it's like, okay, I don't like what you're saying, but I think it's coming from this pain point, and you've said something like that before. So let me show you that I care about it. And maybe it's fair. Maybe I could do it. You know, I do have a problem with this. So maybe I need to talk to you about why it's like I grieve what happened to you, and I grieve that you had that experience. And you might not understand why it's difficult for me to protect you from those experiences.
Right.
Let's talk about that as well.
Man, so that's deep.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting close to the end of the episode, and I really want to give the guys like a takeaway.
Yeah.
So with Father's Day coming up in a couple days, they're going to be sitting in front of their kids, their significant others, and they're going to say Happy Father's Day. Any advice you get to the fellas to really maximize the Father's Day, not just, you know, maybe receive gifts, like anything else you would like to?
You know, I think maybe, you know, being able to, number one, obviously express gratitude, right? And I think gratitude is also appreciating the privilege of being able to be in the seat that you're in. You the king.
The king, fellas.
Right? You the king. K-A-N-G.
Yeah. Capital
Right?
K-A-N-G.
You get to be the king, you know? So, and then there's the other piece of it is it's also an opportunity while you have their attention to cast vision. Right? And to let them know the purpose of that vision. I get to lead you all. I get to be your protector. And what an honor that is to get to do that for y'all. So I thank you for celebrating me, but I also want you to know that it is an honor that you let me do this. You let me sit in this seat and be the king.
Right, you know? Because you can't be the king without essentially your constituents, like your people, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to be the king, and you're just sitting on the throne by yourself, and no one to have a conversation with, right? So no, I think that's an excellent takeaway.
Yeah.
You know, for the fellas, like you guys heard it from Dr. Lambert. Like when y'all go out there and you're celebrating Father's Day, take a moment, be gracious for the fact that you do have those constituents, i.e. the people around you who are celebrating you for that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah. So with that said, fellas, enjoy your Father's Day.
Yeah.
I'm Marcus Odom.
Dr. Kevin Lambert.
Hey guys, this is Rooted Kings. We'll see you guys next episode.
Yeah.
We're out.